All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave back again, talking real music in real time for real people just like you and just like me. All right, so first things first for the 4th of July weekend, happy Independence Day. That's what it really is. It is Independence Day. It feels like this year we're celebrating the entire weekend, which is good, but I'm kind of under the impression that maybe we need to redeclare our independence from tyranny and from a rogue government that has lost its mind. And people need to take back their local governments and to get involved and to change what has been occurring, especially over the last couple of years, which is just incomprehensible. I mean, yeah, gas prices are down like 20 cents or so, which is great. That's fantastic. But overall, it's still up like 150% from where it was. And people are probably doing a lot less traveling, at least by car and maybe even by plane. We have those planes that are mysteriously being canceled, those flights. And still the media pretends that nothing is happening over there. Anyway, folks, Independence Day. The founders of this country believed in declaring their independence from those crazy Brits at the time. And we love those Brits now, but back in those days, not so much. And I think now we've got some new people we need to declare our independence from. Just a thought. So that's number one. Number two, still listening to this West Texas red dirt music. Discovered this album last week, Jason Boland and the Stragglers. This is called The Light Saw Me instead of I Saw the Light. Jason has been doing this for quite some time. And the album cover, actually, if you take a look at this, has kind of like this UFO abduction theme to it, which doesn't at all really match the music. Alternative country, if you want to call it that. Red dirt music is different because it's really hard to put into a category. Very listenable, very decent as far as melodic tendencies and well-written songs. So check it out. Again, Jason Boland and the Stragglers. There are some stragglers, by the way, that are deciding that they don't want to go to the stadium tour. And I completely understand. I've been talking with some friends who are of a certain age, like I am, and we're watching, the rain and the lightning at a concert in Jacksonville. By the way, a set list that Poison did, which was shortened because obviously Brett was in the hospital like the day before, I think. And I was wondering if Poison was going to pull out of that show. Remember, and I've been talking with a rock star friend of mine, and he's basically like, look, you're right about all of these contracts that they write, and you can't just weasel out of it, and you've got to have a good reason. And once you start missing shows, what's probably going to happen is your contract is going to be void, and they'll have to renegotiate, or maybe they'll only pay you a portion of what you had agreed to. So these guys really have to try to make the show go on. In the case of Poison in Jacksonville, it was a shortened set list. And by the way, Poison has been really kicking some butt on this stadium tour. I would have to say, other than Def Leppard, they're like my number two. And in some ways, the way Bret Michaels interacts with people, the fact that he's grown up a lot as a person and he's not launching F-bombs, like Tommy Lee or Vince Neil or whoever over on Camp or Team Motley Crue. Look, I get it. If you're into this music, you want to experience and immerse yourself in the entire culture. I'm just not there anymore. I love this music back in the 80s and into the early 90s. And, the industry shut everything off, shut it down. The fans never went anywhere. They made the fans feel pretty stupid for a number of years. Like, oh, you're into that hair metal crap. Oh man, I mean, come on, that's just so cheesy. You hear cheesy all the time. Really? Because these guys wrote melodic songs that you could sing to. That's cheesy, and that's been the definition of cheesy for quite some time. See, you have to write songs that people aren't really that enthusiastic about singing to, or songs that make you feel like crap, that commiserate with you. Like if you're having a bad day, you put on the song and it validates your bad day. Whereas Poison is singing about like nothing but a good time, right? How can they resist? How can you resist? But we've been living outside of that framework now for what, 30 something years, and it's not coming back, people. I mean, you can go to different places. Like I've been listening to this music that, again, here it is, that I've been just sharing with people. Country, I've been listening to some mainstream country, listening to some melodic rock from the usual suspects, and some great music that isn't going to be really promoted here in the United States. A band like Generation Radio, for instance. We got Journey about to drop a new album, which I'm sure is going to be very interesting. But, the old time fans, we're not really interested in going to a very crowded place, right? Where as soon as you step out of the car, you're going to be sweating profusely. I mean, Jacksonville, Florida in July, and not only do you have to worry about the heat, the humidity, but then you've got like thunderstorms every single day for the most part. And some of these storms can be pretty severe down here. This is where I live, so I know. I mean, we had a bunch yesterday that rolled through, and it's like batten down the hatches for a couple of hours. And sometimes they can last 3 or 4 hours. And a stadium tour, which is going to stop in places where it's an open arena, okay, there's no dome on the thing, you're going to be subjected to all of this stuff. Now, granted, the bands, I think, are underneath the pavilion, but still, do you really want to be out there with all this electrical equipment and then have cloud to ground lightning? I don't know. Is it worth it? For me, it's not. It's just not. These bands are past their prime. They're going out there and they're making a really good attempt. Motley Crue probably being the most difficult execution because of Vince Neil, because of maybe the lack of chemistry within that band. Maybe they're all having a great time of it. I did hear that there was a saloon in Charlotte where they stopped, where an entourage showed up. I'm not sure if anybody from the actual band showed up, but apparently they tipped well and it was a great time. And okay, I mean, that's fine. And it's all part of this human experience, this concert experience that used to be very affordable back in the day. I mean, the t-shirts now are more expensive than, 2 tickets were back in the 1980s, like one t-shirt. How much is that t-shirt? It's $40. Oh, okay. How about one for 20? Nope. And I get it. They want to maximize the profits. They've got people mostly with disposable incomes, maybe a few that don't, but have planned ahead and want to make this one of the great concert experiences of their lives. And, there are people who post to social media and say, this was amazing. This was fantastic. Yeah, I don't know. You see Ozzy Osbourne with Metallica opening up like I did. I think that was 1984, 1985 in Worcester, Massachusetts, and it was raining like cats and dogs, but we were inside, so it didn't really matter. And, like I tell people, Ozzy Osbourne, when he finally came on to do his set, he was like air supply compared to what Metallica had just done to my ears. So I've never been a real big fan of Metallica because I had hearing loss that went on for a couple of days. That was ridiculous. Okay. And I know they could probably turn the sound down a bit, but those guys just played too damn loud. And, I don't miss some of the days where I was at these concerts, but at least I can reminisce that the conditions were better. I was younger, so I wasn't the curmudgeon I am now. I'm not really willing to drive 2 hours and then wait outside to get in. And then once you get in, you're going to be soaked in humidity. And if you avoid the rain, then you still have to put up with the incredible heat, which, again, if you're in Florida, logistically, you probably want to send these guys through in like October or November. Why are you sending them through here in July? It just doesn't make any sense at all. But hey, this is the stadium tour, right? And people are willing to plunk down some serious money to see these bands. And again, it's because for how many years this really hasn't been a thing. Now, all of a sudden, you've got a few bands who are still around and you're putting together this, great concert tour. And it's a great list of bands. Am I all that interested in it? Not really. No, I wouldn't mind seeing two of these bands in a more intimate setting, preferably Poison and Def Leppard. Those would be my two. And I think I'd really enjoy that. Even if it was a large stadium or a mid-size arena, whatever, so long as it's air conditioned and I can get to the bathroom and I can get to the concession stand, those things are important to me. Can I get to my car easily? Is parking ridiculously expensive and hard to find? I mean, the logistics are crazy. And I know people will say, well, why don't you just get a hotel and hang out there for the day? And that's what a lot of people do. And they relax and they have a good time. And that's great. If you've got the money and the time to do that, then you should do that. But for me, nothing's really going to replace the experience I had as a late teen or early 20-something going to concerts and having the freedom that I had at that moment of my life. And the ticket prices were reasonable where I could go to anything. And if I wanted to spend money at the concert, I did. If I didn't, then it was no big deal. And plus, being the radio guy for a number of years, you get spoiled. And that was a little bit later on where they're like, hey, we got tickets to this and that. And after a while, you're like, I've already been to like 4 shows this week. I really don't want to go back. You still have to do the driving. It's not like they're going to send a limo, although they did do that once. And once you've experienced that, then you're like, someone driving me back and forth to the show. I mean, nothing's really going to top that, So if I were, thinking about going to this stadium tour, the circumstances would have to be absolutely perfect. First of all, it would have to be an air-conditioned dome, number one. Number two, someone would have to, if it was more than 2 hours, probably more than an hour from my house, I would say someone needs to drive me to the show. Now, no one's going to drive me to the show. Again, someone could send a limo to come and get me and my wife, and we would be, driven to the show and driven home. It's the drive home that is just ridiculous because you've spent 2 or 3 hours screaming and listening and your ears are numb from the sound, and you're driving back and you're hoping that somebody will just take the wheel and you can take a nap, but that's not going to happen. So all of these things, are really, really important. And I just don't know how much I want to suffer to enjoy music that, quite honestly, isn't as good as it once was, because all of these bands are well past their prime. I would say Poison, Def Leppard, they're putting on a great show, and they make you not think they're as old as they are. And at times you close your eyes and you think, okay, that's really close to where they were. Motley Crue and Joan Jett, Joan Jett just doesn't have a catalog for what this is. And I think they should have booked even a fourth artist with a bigger catalog. But again, her set list is small, so she doesn't have to have a ton of radio friendly material or album rock radio ready material. She plays everything that she's supposed to play, so you really can't get on her for it. But think of the ticket prices and then think to yourself, hey, maybe, just maybe, they should have another band at the caliber of, say, Poison, right? And they could have done that. I would have probably put Rat on this tour instead of Joan Jett. And I think it would have been a better fit because Joan Jett is kind of that post-punk a little bit, hard rock, and her style is a little bit different than everybody else. Although some people would say She's kind of a glam rocker too, and she fits right in. I just think she's a little bit different. But maybe not. Just I guess at this point it doesn't really matter stylistically. I think Poison, Def Leppard, and Motley Crue do kind of go together. And then Joan Jett, she's a bit of an outcast, not because she's a woman, by the way. Just want to make that clear. I mean, if it was Lita Ford and not Joan Jett, I think that would be a better fit. But Lita Ford probably didn't have as many chart singles as Joan Jett had, although I think it's pretty close. Maybe, you put them both on the stage again, like it's, half the Runaways tour. I don't know, but maybe that might be better. In any event, people, I'm not really all that keen on attending an event like this. People have asked me, are you planning on going? I'm not. I have no interest in going to see the stadium tour. And all of those things, like I said, would have to line up where there's a limo, there's air conditioning, there's access to the concession stand and the bathroom. It's not like it's so far away where, oh man, I'm on the field in the stadium and I drank three $14 beers. Now what do I do? That's rough. That's rough. That's not like when you were a kid and you were a camel, right? This is different when you're older. Let's just putting it out there. People don't want to admit this stuff, but it's a part of life. And it makes you just say, you know what, maybe I shouldn't have three of these $14 beers. I'm just going to not drink anything for 3 hours and then get dehydrated. Those are your choices. And then, it's raining, well, you should have brought an umbrella or a poncho. Really? That's another thing I need to do at this concert? Nah. Again, I'm a bit of a curmudgeon and it's just not worth it for me. This is why, having the remote control and sitting on a comfortable couch and maybe, watching a little pay-per-view version of the concert where I can roam the house freely and be air conditioned and have access to the fridge. Hey, that's the way you do it, But in any event, I applaud you. You people are like campers. I don't camp. Okay. I hate the whole concept of camping. Like you're going to put me out in the wilderness with mosquitoes and the possibility of a rainstorm and wild animals and call that like a fun event. That's cool. If that's what you want to do. It's just, I guess I'm too much of a wimp for all of that stuff. So in any event, go and see the stadium tour. Don't listen to me. I'm not trying to bring the stadium tour down. This just isn't the way I would attend a concert. I want to go to a nice small club somewhere, intimate club where some great guitar player is just going to tear it up for a couple of hours and sing with soul and passion. And it doesn't even have to be stuff I know. Hence, that's why I've been getting into stuff like this. This is stuff that I don't even know, but I listen to it and I go, you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing a band like that or a solo artist who is up and coming just to hear some great music and to get out of the house and to not feel burdened by the influx of humanity. And that's another thing you got to deal with at the stadium tours. Too many people. All right. I think I've complained enough. I'm done. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a great Independence Day weekend. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And of course, I will see you soon.